Yeah, the defensive line and Coach Whitecott have done a really good job of rotation with the defensive line. And I think it's really important that we keep those different combinations going, because I really believe that, rushing is 4=1, and really playing off each other is a really important thing to do as defensive line. And you don't do that without just getting the same guys next to you all the time. And it's harder for the offensive line as well, to be able to go against different rushers, inside, outside, different combinations. Very well. The reason we drafted Donovan was what we're seeing now. And that is work ethic, talent, balance, power, speed, and that's what we see. And he's a wonderful teammate. He's grinding every day and doing a nice job of progressing.
Clarence Hill, DLLS Cowboys. Can you talk about Mazi and his development year 3? You got third different defensive coordinators in third different system. How is your system going to enable him to maximize his potential?
Yeah, Mazi's done a really good job picking up our system. It's a little bit different than what he was doing last year. So I think that he likes that. He's embracing that, and he's working to get better at it. The biggest thing I think is learning how to play with leverage, with power, quickness. He's got all the talent that he needs, and once he learns that, it's a day-to-day process, right? You get better every day, you grow, you learn, and he's going through that process right now.
Losing the weight, he's down to 310. Is that optimal for what you want him to do?
Yeah, I think that our strength staff, H, and the guys do a great job with those guys, pushing them, getting them right with nutrition, and I think we have a wonderful staff there as well. But it's important that guys, we like, and Will McClay knows this, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is that I know he likes what I like. He likes long, lean, and fast, and we'll try to get the best, each guy that way.
Matt, Todd Archer of ESPN.
Hey, Todd.
Nice to see you guys.
How's it going?
Couldn't get my name out. Do we make too much of size when it comes to run defense?
Yeah, I think you need size at certain spots. The double teams happen on the inside, as we know. So you're talking about 600 and plus versus 300. So those guys do have to be stout inside there to be able to hold and anchor the point inside the middle of your defense. But on the outside, I think that you could have a couple of different body types that can really function well to set edges, to create good edge to the defense in terms of defensive ends. But inside, you do need size.
I think 8 of your 12 years, the last 12 years, you got a run defense that's been inside the top 10. What is the key right there?
Teamwork. Yeah, teamwork. It's not just the inside guys. It's not just the outside guys. It's everybody. To have an elite run defense, it's going to take everybody. And one of my mentors, and you guys know him well, used to say, "No house guest," Coach Marinelli, and that's true. And that starts with, we'll be a good tackling team when our corners tackle, and that's important because all the schemes nowadays make your corners tackle. So our guys will be a good tackling bunch, and we work on that daily.
John Machota with The Athletic. Speaking to your corners, you obviously have some injuries with Diggs and Revel, and now Keelan Carson. Just what's your concern level with the cornerback position right now?
I always look at that as opportunity first, because you get a chance for the guys that are competing to step up and move into that ones or twos, which they wouldn't normally be if the starters are there. So those guys have great opportunity to show what they can do. Obviously, when you're missing starters, starter types, starter talent, that's always a concern. And but we're doing a good job of working guys in there and really evaluating guys. That's the process we're going through right now in terms of evaluating every single guy as we evaluate our scheme and evaluate the skill sets. So it's a good chance for us to be able to look at other guys.
And during practice, a lot of times when you're calling the defense, DeMarvion Oberschon's been right next to you. What have you kind of learned about DeMarvion? What's he able to kind of get out of you guys being next week?
Yeah, he's super smart. He's got really good, football intelligence, and it's a pleasure to work with him. And we just kind of talk through the play. I give him the play, make him make the calls. What are you seeing there? And then I just give him a nugget or two afterward of, hey, if you see that, this is what you're looking for there, and just trying to help him play faster once he gets back in. And I'm excited to work with him when he gets back. So I know that, once we get our hands on him, we're going to be able to help him in terms of efficiency of movement and taking that talent level and bringing him closer to the football. And I'm excited to work with him.
Nick Harris, Forward Star Telegram. Obviously, a lot of defensive end talent that you have on your roster, and you've got some blitzing linebackers as well. As you build this pass rush plan, how fun has it been able to use these pieces and figure out what's best?
Yeah, we're in the process of that, right? And, football for me is always fun. Anytime I'm on the grass, I don't really like being inside. You put me in that trailer over there, man, it's not that great. I mean, I'll be honest with you. But, man, when you get on the grass, that's a lot of fun. So I enjoy what I do. I've always have. I love teaching these guys, coaching these guys. But that's part of the process we're in, right? Like I said on the onset, the different combinations, what guys do well. As a guy, a good inside pressure player, be it from a D-line standpoint or an inside linebacker, can he pressure from the inside? Is he better on the edge? Same thing with the safeties, with the corners. We believe in sending everybody at some point on the first level, second level as a pressure player. And we're looking to see what the guys' skill sets are in doing that.
Based on what you saw in film, Kyrie, and Buffalo, based on the product you've acquired, what's been the biggest difference why he has success?
Yeah, he's just work. His work ethic is great. His buy-in is awesome. And he's doing a wonderful job with our techniques. The guys that we had, David Overstreet and Andre Curtis, have been with me for a while. And they understand the techniques and understand, what we're asking, in terms of the coverages. But also having the understanding of, looking and evaluating each player and their skill set and how to fit our scheme into that skill set. So those guys do a great job with each individual guy. And I'm excited about working with Kyrie.
Journey more or less begins heralded linebacker coach for the Cowboys, DC, Indy, head coach of Chicago, you're back to take over DC duties in Dallas. At this point in your career, other than the obvious Super Bowl, what motivates you and what pushes you to keep going, especially in 2025 in this industry?
Yeah, great question. I would say that it's changed over the years. I think when you're young, and I started coaching when I was super young. I had just turned 23 years old at the University of Toledo. So my idea of what I was doing there was more ambition, than gratitude, if that makes sense. So now I'm grateful for the journey that I've been on, and excited to have the opportunity to have that journey, to be able to learn, to be able to grow, not only in football, which is my vocation, but in my faith, in my family, and that's what I stand on, and then my vocation, which happens to be football, and really to pursue excellence every single day. And I tell the players this all the time: you're pursuing excellence every day in those three facets: your faith, your family, and your vocation. We're sitting here in a football meeting, so we're doing football. I said, but that is not a soft statement. To be excellent, to be elite, to master your craft. Okay, in all three of those areas, that's a job now. So those guys are doing that, and that's really what I try to do every day, and learn and grow in those three areas, and so that I can help others do the same. And that to me is really what motivates me every day. And it's a day-to-day process, moment-to-moment process, and but yeah, it's more gratitude, over ambition, as I was when I was younger.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. The Cowboys had 8 corners to start games last year. We kind of talked about the evaluation process with some of these other guys. A couple guys they had to add last year as they went on. Is it easier to evaluate potential depth pieces and guys you may need to count on later in the year now in training camp than it is during the season?
Well, that's part of the process. We got those guys in there now that are playing, and I think that it's going to be good. It's going to be good. You always have to understand, and if players are in or players are out, because that's part of football, right? You're going to lose guys during the course of the year, and you're never going to be at 100%. You have to learn how to move your scheme to fit the skill set that you have. And I understand at some points you got to cover people, right? And that's it's like a quarterback. At some point you got to throw in the pocket. It's the same thing for a corner. At some point you're going to have to cover. But we're just evaluating that right now as we go, and it's a good thing. And again, there's a lot of talent on this team, and I'm excited about working with those guys. But again, you can't ask the guy to do something that he's not able to do. You got to ask him what he's good at. So.
Marion's kind of talked about how valuable the Breakfast Club meetings have been with you, and what have you kind of learned about him? Just obviously you can't see him on the field. What have you learned about him off the field?
Yeah, I love his energy. I've been fortunate and grateful to be around a bunch of good linebackers, and his energy is right up there with the rest of those guys that are really good players. So he's got a great future ahead of him, and he's really going to be exciting to grow and exciting to watch as he does grow.
Tommy Yarsh, DallasCowboys.com, said in the past that three technique defensive tackles are kind of the engine of your defense. What's it been like working with Osa, and you kind of envision him being the same thing for you now?
Yeah, Osa's been great. I love his work ethic. I love the way he brings guys together. He's been working with the young guys, the young D tackles that we have with Tommy and Jay. Really doing a good job with Mozzie. And then having Sally in there has been wonderful as well. So you have two really good veterans in Osa and Sally in there. I think they're really affecting the entire group, not only the D tackles, but it's really good to have Tay back, another good veteran. And that's a really strong room for us, in terms of a veteran presence and mentorship, mentor those guys that are underneath them, the younger guys. So it's really been good. And we really encourage that for our veteran players to really mentor those guys, take those guys under their wings at every position.
Coach Sam Ganner, Fox 4 in Dallas. Coach Shoddy said he believes you guys can be one of the top takeaway teams in the league this year. What about this group makes you believe that can be the case?
Just practice. You got to just keep practicing it. It's got to be on your mind, and you got to practice it every day. And this is not something that we're looking for at the end at all. It's something that we look for daily. So we know what we do repeatedly. That's who we are. So we constantly do that every single day. And some days are better than others. And we're going to keep it on the guy's mind. We're going to keep emphasizing it, keep drilling it. I believe that the coaches, the position coaches, are the backbone of the football team. And I believe that those guys, their drill work has to be game-like, has to be set up the right way. And if we keep drilling, whatever it might be, and we'll be good at it. And I truly believe that. And so the guys just keep working at it over and over again. We spend a good portion of our individual drills, if you watch, during that. If we have a 20-minute individual, we'll spend 5 minutes doing takeaways. So it's just drill work and technique.
Bill Jones, CBS Texas. Tell us about Jack Sanborn and how big has it been for him? Been here for the last 3 years?
Yep, good question, Bill. Good to see you. Jack is a really good pro, and he's been with us for a few years now. And man, if you talk about the consummate pro, showing up early, staying late, knowing his stuff, perfecting his technique, being in elite condition. He's been a joy to work with, and Jack makes plays. He's a playmaker, and he had an opportunity to start for us a few times at the last stop we were at, and it's been really good to watch him grow. And I'm more excited about this year for him than anything because he's changed his body. He's done a really good job of adjusting his body. His movement skills are, and his efficiency of movement, as I said earlier, have really improved. And he's really getting closer and closer to the ball, and he's making a lot of plays in practice. Who's that? Okay, yeah, Kenneth Murray. He's been good. Again, we had him in the spring. He's been here early part of camp, and I'm excited for his leadership. He's a different athlete than Jack. He's got some good pop to him, good strike, really good movement, and he's got good command of the huddle, and he does a really good job out there communicating. And we're going to be able to use him in a couple of different ways, but I'm excited for him and his opportunity that he has here with the Cowboys too.
Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio 105.3 The Fan. Matt, from the time the staff came together, was it time for you to acquire players that would fit your scheme? This first year, you were having to make the scheme fit the players that you had.
Well, first and foremost, I think Will McClay and the scouting staff have done an outstanding job, pro and college, through the draft, of acquiring players, in a short amount of time. When I first got here, I think we added maybe, eight or so guys, and maybe maybe I'm missing it by one, but and all good players. So we're excited about where we are. It certainly has changed a lot, and that credit goes to Will McClay and his staff. I mean, that is an outstanding job of. Will knows me. I know Will. We've been together for a long time. For that 7 or 8 years I was here before. And our conversations are really easy, in terms of watching a player, looking at a player. Yes, he fits this. They already know the positions. And we didn't take that for granted. We went through with the whole scouting staff when we first got together and really went through it again with the Jones family. Hey, how has your scheme changed since the last time you were here? What's the difference? And we really talked about that in depth at each position. And the position coach did a really good job of outlining that so we could acquire the right players through free agency first and then the draft.
Hi, Coach. Sydney Staples, DT10 Sports. When you're talking about right now, you're evaluating players, what are the key aspects that you're looking for?
Yeah, and let me back that up a little bit. Really, we're first and foremost educating the players, about the scheme and the technique. That's our first job. And I always talk to the coaches, hey, we're here to teach and educate. And we're here to serve those guys, and we're here to push them. So that's first and foremost. And then when we have the days off, then we evaluate, and do our, put our time in there. And we evaluate the number. We really look at the guy, step back, don't talk about personality, character, all that stuff. Just look at the number and evaluate the player, because you got to be neutral when you're doing that. And we do a good job of doing that and seeing where the guy fits in. And if he's playing our style. Our style is not easy to play. It's not for everybody. And it's very difficult, and it's demanding physically. So some guys will be very good at it, and they buy into that, and some guys will not. And those guys will not be here. So we got to make sure that we're evaluating that as we go. And we're very neutral to that. It's either, but the guys that we've acquired, the guys that we brought in, the guys that are sitting in the seats, they have a lean towards that style. And we're going to take them from here when they come in, and we're going to bring them up to here in terms of style, just based on what we standardize and what we look at every day and what we put in front of them.
Is the way that you evaluate players now different than when you were previously with the Cowboys a few years ago?
Not so much. Not so much. It's very similar.
Hey, Coach, Big Night from Sports. We keep hearing the players saying that your idea of defense is violent. What is important about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, all good football is done with great technique, great speed, and great physicality, or what you say, violence. That right there is what it's all about. How can you maximize your body to create power, to create leverage, to create strike through technique, right? And then through desire, because that's what it really is. And that's what we do. We try to maximize the guys. And you guys know that I coach, Sean Lee, and I love talking about Sean, and I will talk about Sean every chance I get. But you talk about a guy who maximized his potential and maximized his body, that's a guy that you look at. So he learned how to play with leverage with his body, power, and strike. And the effort piece was there, and the desire was there. But that's a day-to-day accomplishment. You got to go grind every single day to get that done, and that's what our guys are doing now.
Dan Greenspan, Associated Press. You've been where Brian is now, making the switch from coordinator to head coach. Are the jobs more fundamentally the same or more fundamentally different? How different is being a head coach?
Well, I think it's a added responsibility. It really is, because you're now in charge of practice plans and the logistics of it. That's a big part of it. Talking to the beautiful media 4 times or 5 times a week. That's another big part of it. So, and then really, getting the culture right and the staff right and getting together with offense and defense. And now you got to go across the aisle and visit with all the defensive guys or the offensive guys or vice versa. So it's you got to have great people with you. And I think Shadi does, has a great support staff. That's the number one thing that you have to have. And I think he's done a wonderful job of selecting that, to really help him do his job really well. I think that's first and foremost. And he's going to be great at it. But it's just added responsibility, and then you're still calling the offense, and all that. So, but yeah, it's a different experience.
Go ahead, Dan. How do you go about the tactician part? Being great on game day is what got you to this position, what's got Brian to this position. How do you balance, hey, I've got all these other responsibilities, but I still need to have a really great game plan?
Yeah, like I said, Clayton Adams is the best in the business, and we'll see that as he starts to grow in his coordinator position. He's got a lot of support, a lot of good guys around him, and I think that's the first and foremost. So he's able to, do that tactically on a game day, during the week, and all those things. It's no different than when I was there. You got to make sure that you have guys that are there to support you, and the very best guys.
Whenever Mike is out on the field, we obviously see him interacting with a lot of different guys. What's the value that he has brought by being here, whether that be on the field or behind the scenes?
Yeah, he's been great. Mike has been awesome. He's been engaged in the meetings. He's been engaged on the field during the drills. I mean, shoot, he's in there with the pads on. You guys have seen that, and he's been wonderful. And the biggest thing with him, and he's talked about with me, is that he wants to stay on pace and making sure that he's up with the scheme. So when it does happen and he does come in and start working, he knows exactly what he's supposed to do and how he's supposed to do it. And he's been right on point with that. And that's been really cool to see how he's really helping other players, young guys. But he's been great.
Jerry's complimented his intelligence and his learning scheme and developing pass rushing. What have you learned from him as far as
Elite. He's the elite intelligence. Obviously an elite talent, and we're excited to be able to move him around. Throughout the whole entire line. But we're also excited about the other pass rushers that we do have to create other mismatches. And Mike is a big part of that because, he's got to get the most of the attention, and that'll free up other guys. But we're also finding ways to free him up too.
All righty. Thank you.
All right.